Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. We are breaking down the NBA slate tonight for 8-10, which is Monday, 5-game slate, and we are fired up. I am Joe Sarvati, affectionately known as Coach, and I'm joined with my NBA partner in crime here, Mr. Andrew Hansen. How are you this evening? We're recording the night before, as we always do. So how are you?
I'm fired up. This is a big week here. Last regular season week of the bubble. There's going to be a lot of moving parts, and we are on top of everything. We are ready to crush it this week, finish strong. We're going to be on top of every move. I can't wait to get after it.
I can't either, man. And we were talking, we started this a little late because we were both complaining a little bit because we're so close today and in a couple of the latest NBA slates to really just crushing it. I mean, we're doing fine in cash, but those GPPs are just right there. So I feel like this is going to be a great week for us because there's, like you said, a lot of confusion. You know, most teams have 2 or 3 games left. There's a lot of people, playing for their playoff lives, resting guys, rotating. I mean, there's just about every strategy out there. So, it is a monster edge that we're on this 24/7 when a lot of guys, it's going to be tough. Either they're working or, there's changes they're not seeing. So there's a big edge. I mean, it all will settle down when the playoffs start in a week. Then everybody, it's gloves off. Everybody goes after it. But I think this week can be a really profitable one for us in NBA, don't you think?
Yeah, I do. It actually kind of feels like the KBO to me, where we were grinding for a while and watching every game, watching every slate, using the eye test, and then all of a sudden it just clicked, and we had all those big wins, all of us. And I think that's what's probably going to happen this week in the NBA. So hopefully we can share that with the listeners and the members as well.
Yeah, it definitely feels like it for sure. And, we've had an incredible 3-day weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The old coach here, about a 20K profit. So anytime you can do something like that, you got to be excited. And the combination of cash and specifically taking a big run in that 100K tournament with a single bullet $15 entry. I mean, so there's lots of ways you can win at this. And, that combination is what we try to bring forward every day and just try to get that out there because we had some members had some solid wins as well. So join us, by the way, dfscoachtalk.com. We had some great new members come in this week. I'm gonna tomorrow's show. I'm gonna call out some of the guys, give them a shout out for all the new folks that joined this past week because it's I try to spend a lot of time. We all do with all our new members and make sure they feel comfortable and if they have any questions. And it was such a busy weekend. I did reach out some, but I just want all of them to know how much we appreciate them. And we are the fastest growing DFS provider in the industry, and we couldn't do that if it wasn't for these new folks rolling in and giving us a try. So definitely give us a run, even if it's for a week membership, a month or a year. You get all access to all of our sports, all of our Discord, which we give a breakdown. We give full FanDuel lineups. We have something that's becoming more and more popular every day, the Coach's Clipboard for DraftKings, which is a player pool with a highlighted core that you can utilize. And again, that's for all sports. So definitely join us. We'd love to have you. And we feel like we're on the brink of getting hot in basketball and maintaining our hot streak in baseball. We just got to pick up golf a little bit. We had a few guys shank a few drives. I felt like it was me on the tee with a few of these guys, but we'll pick that up again this.
Well, it's only one guy. If we were on tune with Paul Casey, we'd all be rich.
Don't even go there.
He crushed us in Minnesota by missing the cut, and then he comes out and almost wins a major a couple weeks later, playing the way we thought he was going to play in Minnesota.
Yes.
So
He's forever on my golf poo-poo list, if you will. But yeah, it was, and Morikawa though, man, 23 years old, major winner, gotta love it. All right, basketball is why we're here, and we would like to thank our presenting sponsors, mybookie.ag. It is where the world goes for sports wagering and casino action. And you can get a special offer through DFS Coach Talk by going to our website or the mybookie.ag website and using the promo code Coach Talk, all one word, no space, and you receive 100% of your first deposit all the way up to $1,000. And you also receive a $25 free play just for being a listener to the Coach Talk podcast. And also our friends at tvg.com. I was wanting to watch some horse racing this weekend with the Travers, and I was so caught up with basketball, baseball, and golf, the horse racing didn't quite make it. So I will get in there at some point this week at tvg.com. And if you haven't signed up or played any horses, that is the place to go. And we have an exclusive offer there as well. It's a risk-free $300 bet. You can get that by going to our website, clicking on the banner that says risk-free TVG $300 bet, and you deposit $300, make your wager on a horse. If it loses, TVG gives you the whole $300 back. If you hit it, then you got a nice little bankroll going, and you can run with it from there. So we would definitely want to thank both mybookie.ag and tvg.com. All right, we're excited. We're getting into this 5-game slate. It's going to be awesome. I'm really wound up for this. I even mentioned in our Discord to our main chat folks. I was in for a few minutes in mid-afternoon, so I started diving into this slate like 6-7 hours ago, and I am ready to break this down with you, man. I am really ready. And now I got to give you the infamous player list here of injured guys, out guys, COVID guys, bubble guys, you name it, whatever you want to call it. So let me get through this list real quick. For those listening, there's a lot of information here. So, take a note or two. It affects massively the ownership. It's going to affect the usage on down the line. So, all right, here we go, Andrew. Danny Green, Lakers probable. Aaron Baines remains out. Kelly Oubre is still on there as doubtful, but if they make the playoffs, which they're trying to do, he may get to suit up. Most of the Mavericks are going to be out. It's a rest game. Dorian Finney-Smith is out. Anthony Davis continuing the 7-year streak of being on the list. He's 85% probable.
He's actually reliable in that way.
I know. And LeBron is 75%. So how that works, that Davis is just that 10% more likely to play than LeBron, is pretty interesting. But that's what it's reading right now. It looks like Goran Dragic's ankle has gotten better. He's probable, as well as Jimmy Butler's foot. So my Tyler Hero tremendous couple of games is going to be back down to a few less minutes. So that's sort of a bummer. But it's good for the Heat against the Pacers here to have Dragic and Butler back. Now, TJ Warren, questionable. And that is very interesting. Andrew had brought up a great point before the podcast. We'll share with you about an interesting spat that was had there between the Pacers and Heat. So we're both really hoping TJ Warren plays. He does have a sore foot, and he is 50-50 questionable. Giannis, also known as Mr. Airball, 3 airball foul shots and 2 airball threes for the MVP. Still sort of stunning.
It was kind of funny.
Yeah.
I was listening to the New Orleans San Antonio game on the radio for part of it today, and Zion airballed a free throw, and they said he Giannis'd it.
Oh,
so
no.
Could you imagine an MVP who has a verb named after him for an airball free throw? Not good.
If that gets in his head, man, that's not good. I mean,
rough.
That is a big problem. I thought Milwaukee was ripe to get beaten in the playoffs, and if he's in a funk like this, Toronto can easily beat him. Even Milwaukee, Boston, who knows? Miami or Boston also have a chance. But anyway, it'll be interesting. He's expected to play. How long, how many minutes? I'm not sure. We sure got plenty of minutes in that last game where we rostered him. If he realized the ball needs to go in the hoop instead of, as an air ball, then we'd be a little bit better shape. But no, I think it looks like he'll play here. I don't know how much in this Milwaukee-Toronto game they want to show each other's hands, though, because it could be an Eastern final. All right, you got me off track. Dallas Mavericks continue out. Kristaps Porzingis and Luka Doncic, no big deal. Those guys aren't that good.
No usage there.
They're going to sit for Dallas. They probably wouldn't have played anyway.
Yeah.
Emmanuel Mudiay, I know one of your favorites. He's confirmed in. So he is going to play. And then here's a guy, Jawan Morgan from Utah. He's probable. You got all your favorites playing tomorrow. Donovan Mitchell, who had a whale of a game, man. He is 50-50 questionable. So very interesting to see what the deal is there, if he's going to play or not. They still have Will Barton and Gary Harris out. Kendrick Nunn is out for the Heat. He remains out, so maybe there is a little hope for a little hero ball. Seth Curry is probable, so it looks like he will get some run, and he needs to because he's been out for a little bit. Definitely something to consider. Poor old Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is out. He hurt his ankle pretty bad. He will probably be out for a little bit. And Mr. Serge Ibaka has been confirmed in the lineup. And that's it for now. But the scary part about it is that's probably about a third of the news that we'll have to deal with between the wee hours of the morning here and then through tomorrow morning as we go into the 5 games. Because I'll tell you, there's a lot of news, but all of it is massively, massively important. Follow the process. Check this podcast out. Either if you're a night owl tonight or first thing in the morning, follow us throughout the day on Twitter and in our Discord. And then make sure, it's just imperative. In fact, I always say it, and I mean it, especially now. If you can't be in Discord with us for that last 30 minutes before lock, it's probably better to take the day off because you don't want to have a 0 in your lineup or a minutes restriction guy that you're paying huge money for, or not plugging in the massive $3,000 value guy that's starting. You got to be in there with us to see this through. All right, brother, I'm going to turn this over to you in the first game, 1:30 p.m. Eastern, 14-hour day basketball.
2:30 Eastern.
Oh, 2:30. Okay. Yep. I always do that because on this website it shows me my time here in Dallas. So it's 1:30 my time anyway, Andrew. So there. 2:30 Eastern, 1:30 Central, the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Phoenix Suns. And we know that there were 2 teams eliminated today that cannot make it now. And it's the Zion Pelicans are out and the Sacramento Kings are out. So it's down to the Suns and the Spurs, the Grizzlies, and the Trailblazers. Those 4 squads battling. So we know this is an important game for Phoenix. Oklahoma City is already in the playoffs, slotted right in the middle of the pack. Break it down. Give us some gems.
Well, as you said, Phoenix, they have to keep winning. And that's all they've done in the bubble. They're 5-0. Really great stretch here. And if you just look at their leading scorer, there's this guy who keeps popping up. He kind of reminds me of those guys that are sitting for Dallas, Luka and Porzingis. You said they don't really do much on the court. So there's this guy, he just keeps popping up. Let's see here. Leading scorer, Booker 27, Booker 30, Booker 35. Took a night off and gave 8 and 23. And then Booker 35 again. You see the theme there?
He's been great.
I love including him. That game winner. So
Did you see Draymond trying to recruit him?
Yeah, right.
He got a $50,000 fine for trying to say, "Come and join the Warriors."
That's a guy you want to recruit. So
no doubt.
And I want to recruit him to my lineup. I think I just wish he wasn't so expensive. 50K for Draymond is 8,700 for us on DraftKings, a little bit cheaper, 8,200 on FanDuel. Um, he got 35 the last game, even though he shot 0 for 7 from three-point land. So he is jacking. He's got the team on his back, trying to give them a chance. So I'll have him in a bunch of lineups. And I'd like to get somebody to go with him, but nobody's jumping out in terms of their price tag. Cam Johnson's now over 5,000 on both sites. Rubio's a solid price, but don't usually play them together. So it may be Booker, and that's it for me. On the OKC side, those guys are a little bit overpriced. Chris Paul and Shea, that's who I'm talking about primarily. You could, if you need to, go for the value play with Dort. Again, he's had 3 straight games of at least a 6x return. Now he's up to 4,000 on DraftKings, so it's borderline. But that's about it for me in game number 1.
Let me ask you this. Steven Adams news. I have him listed here as questionable. Do you have anything updated on him?
I think, no, just that I think he's going to be in. This is a back-to-back for OKC, so they sat Adams and Noel on Sunday today. That's right. Where Mike Muscala got the late starting nod. We gave him out to our members as a value play, and he got you the 7x return on DraftKings, so it's exactly what we wanted. But now looks like to me it'll be back to normal. They just decided we're going to play these guys in the second night of the back-to-back. So I think it'll be a normal rotation between Adams and Noel, and I don't plan on playing either one of them.
Well, I'm not going to touch either one of those guys, but what it does affect, and that's why this will be, a huge piece of knowledge that I have to get in the morning is if Adams isn't going to play, Ayton is a lock for me. I just don't think Noel is very frail. He's a good, decent player, but Ayton will just, destroy him muscle-wise in the paint. And Muscala certainly can't guard him. No. And Phoenix needs to win. So, I'm a little hesitant if Adams is going to play normal minutes. I think he can control Ayton a little bit. But if he's not, then Ayton is one of my favorite plays on the whole board because they have to win, like we said. And likewise with Booker. The first game we talked about last night on the podcast, we had this same discussion about one Dame Lillard for today. And we ended up drifting and didn't play him in as many lineups as we would have liked to do. But sometimes it's just as obvious as the nose on your face, and Booker is that here. Shea's not going to do a good job against him. I don't believe Paul will guard him. He may in stretches, but not a whole lot. Dort is a terrific defender, but I don't know if he's quick enough to stay with Booker. He's better on the threes specifically, but Dort may try to guard him. And if that's the case, I think Booker will do a fine job. So for me, this could be right out of the gates a massive game if we're going with expensive Booker and Ayton. Need to know that Adams news, and really don't think that anybody on the Thunder, to me, is rosterable because I don't know how much they want this game. I think they're good enough to make it a game, so I don't think it will exactly be a blowout, but I just don't see the motivation. And they do play decent defense without a tremendous pace. But again, we're talking about, like, when you're talking about the Suns here, like, this is the playoffs. If they lose, they're out. So, they're going to put it out there, all hands on deck, as I mentioned yesterday, same type of thing. I think that you can easily go there. And I'll tell you who's been my go-to guy for my value guy is prices drifting up, but it's one Cam Johnson. He's put multiple games together, 30, 40 DFS points. And, I think that he'll do just fine. Gallinari's not a good defender anymore. He doesn't move his feet. And, if they put Dort on him a little bit, that could slow him down. But I think initially it's going to probably be Gallinari on him. And for that, this could be a Phoenix stack for me. And just I know it will be a little chalky, but I really like the Suns tomorrow.
I'm with you.
All right, second game, 3 Eastern, 2 Central. The Dallas Mavericks B team, G League team, whatever you want to call it tomorrow, against the Utah Jazz. So we already know. Oh, you know what? I forgot to share the mybookie.ag line real quickly. The Suns in that game right now are a 5-point favorite, and the over-under's 224. So about what you would expect. And then this Mavs game is, they haven't been able, they had it at one point, the Mavs favorite, then the Jazz. Now all of a sudden the Jazz are a 6.5-point favorite because all the Mavs are sitting. So, and no over under on that one. So the question is here, as you break this down, how much do the Jazz play their main guys? Who are going to be the reserves for Dallas to step up? And if so, are they rosterable?
Yeah, those are important questions. Utah's in that 6th spot where I don't know if they're necessarily really going to push to move up. They only have 2 games left. If the season ended right now, they would play Denver. If they move up, they might have to play Houston. I'd prefer to play Denver myself. So I don't know that they're going to be just going all out to try to win, to your point. But if Mitchell sits, and you said at the top there he's questionable, then I've got a lot of interest in Clarkson, especially based on his price. On FanDuel, he's only 4.4. I think he could get a nice run. Conley, I think, is a decent price at 6.1. Again, if Mitchell is out, those guys are going to pick up all the usage. Centers have had a lot of success against Dallas in the bubble, so you can look at Gobert at 7.6. And that leads me to a question for you, good sir, Mr. Dallas Mavericks expert.
Let me take my blood pressure pill before you ask me about Boban.
Okay,
because I never was more angry as a Mavericks fan as I was that last game.
Before we even get to Boban, I want to ask a very general question. And just, will Rick Carlisle use logic when he sets his lineup and makes his coaching decisions throughout the game tomorrow?
I have followed every game that the Mavericks have played since Rick Carlisle's been their coach for years. And this season is a mystery to me. I am just mind boggled at his lack of strategy, his lack of rotation, his lack of coaches' challenges, his in-game coaching specifically in the last 5 minutes of games. They've lost 20 games this year, including 2 in the bubble where they were winning and then they lost by less than 5. That generally screams that your coach is just totally screwing up.
Right.
So, as far as guessing Carlisle's brain right now, I have no idea, man. And, I'm referring to that Boban thing because he started, we used him, played the first 5.5 minutes, had like 12 fantasy points. He was terrific.
Yeah.
A block, a couple of buckets, a couple of rebounds, never came back in the game as they just destroyed him. The Mavericks.
They owned them in the paint, and he just sat there and watched.
So the common thinking here, if you have a brain that's functioning and you're coaching, you got Rudy Gobert, the stifle tower. He needs to be facing a big man. Porzingis isn't going to play.
Right.
I would assume Boban he's got to play 25 minutes here, doesn't he?
Well, that's the thing. I think it makes logical sense. Boban can look that guy in the eye and stifle the stifle tower himself. Yeah. And, oh, by the way, he can score over him. He can pass around him. I mean, the guy's got more skill.
He's taller than Rudy Gobert.
So there you go. Yeah, and Boban has more skill than probably 70% of the players in the NBA. The guy's got a great stroke, great passer, great fundamentals. So I think it makes logical sense that he'd be out there. So
I have no idea why he rots on the bench like that against teams that are tough in the paint. It makes no sense. But I'm with you, man. I can tell you right off the schneid, I'm going to be rostering Boban tomorrow, and just I'll turn the TV off if I have to with Carlisle. I'm not going to put myself through the whole entire game.
Right.
of
We'll give it a
waiting for
half.
Boban to check back in.
Give it a
So,
half.
but the thing is, go ahead. I'll let you finish breaking down the game. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I'm going to have him out there in some of my lineups. It would be a bonus if he's going to start, so we know he at least gets a little bit of run. And then if he's dominant like he usually is, hopefully one of the assistants will tell Rick, let's get Boban back out there for a little more activity here. So I'll have him in some lineups. But we are going to have to look at the other value plays here. Trey Burke, I think, should get some good run. We've talked a lot about how Utah has picked up the pace here in the bubble. So I think Trey Burke can function pretty well in this type of game. THJ, you got to figure he's going to get a lot of shots. He's still his normal price at 5.6. So, the challenge there is, when Luka drives and kicks, he draws a lot of attention, puts that pass right on the money, makes life a lot easier for THJ. I don't know that Burke is going to set
all those guys, actually.
Yeah. So I don't think Burke's going to set him up quite as well, but he may just benefit from the extra usage. So I would look at him as well. So those are my three primary targets to start with on the Dallas side.
And then you said, remind me on the Jazz side again, if Mitchell's out,
if Mitchell's out, yeah,
and maybe Conley.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. First of all, on the Utah side, if Mitchell sits, Clarkson is 100% in all my cash and GPPs, and the reason being is, let's face it, the guy that never saw a shot he didn't like. He reminds me of me when I played. If I had an ounce of opening, that ball's going up, and I think he's from that school of thought as well. So I love him if he plays. It's weird as of right now, and being the Mavericks fan, that you would think that I'd have some real sharp edge plays for you. But my sharp edge in this game is to advise not to take a risk on all these value guys from Dallas. Because here, I guarantee you this is what's going to happen in this game. As sure as I'm sitting here, he's going to use a pretty deep bench. He could care less if they win or lose. And he's going to use J.J. Barea. Yep. And he's going to use Cleveland, and he's going to use Reeves. He's going to use those guys. I guarantee you they play tomorrow. So then you got to split the shots up between Burke and Curry and Wright and Hardaway and Kleba. I mean, I don't see anybody in that group that I can tell you is going to get 30 minutes and smash it. So I think a lot of people are going to dive on this thinking, okay, I'm taking a value Hardaway or value Burke, and I just don't think it's a good play. So my insider Mavericks feeling on this is play Boban, hope Carlisle doesn't have a brain aneurysm during the game, and lets him play, and then move on. So for me on the Jazz side, again, how much is Snyder going to use that rotation minutes wise, especially with all the Dallas guys out? And they play pretty heavy minutes, the Jazz guys. So, I don't know. I like Clarkson. I've used Royce O'Neal a few times as my value guy. So he's always a possibility. I don't think Gobert is going to dominate in here just because I think Boban will get some minutes. So this isn't my favorite game. I think it could be an under type of game if you're playing the over under, just because I'm not sure how hard the Jazz push, and I think this is just, if it was a baseball terminology, a bullpen game for the Mavericks. So that's pretty much where I stand.
Okay. We
go on to the next one. 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 Central. Toronto Raptors, Milwaukee Bucks, with Mr. Airball MVP. This game has the Milwaukee Bucks -3, 228.5 on the over-under. Implied total 117 for Milwaukee, 111 for Toronto. So this one is a head scratcher for me. Like I said when I was going through the injuries, I don't know how much these two teams want to show each other when, they're going to be suiting it up for real probably in about 3 weeks. in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm not planning to get much exposure to this game. Maybe a one-off. Giannis, he can certainly hit value even if he doesn't play the full game. But my primary build will not include him. Middleton's been playing well these last couple games, but it's just a defensive battle here with these teams. I don't see the primary guys playing full minutes. So the value plays I would look at would be in the backcourt for Milwaukee. Bledsoe at 5.4 on DraftKings. His minutes are going up. He doesn't have to be out there for 36 minutes to pay that off. So you could look there. And then how about Mr. Hill as a pivot from Trey Burke? If you don't want to spend 3,700 on Trey Burke, you could spend 3,700 on George Hill. He had 28 minutes last game. So keep that one in mind. And then don't really want to play anybody for Toronto, but if you twist my arm and you make me nominate my favorite, it's probably Norman Powell at 4.4 on DraftKings. He's played 29 and 30 minutes the last two games. So if they keep giving him that run, he gets a bunch of shots up, he could pay off value. So if I had to play a Raptor, it would probably be him.
You know what? I think that's an awesome take. I think he's a great secret squirrel pick. I think that he could get a lot of those shots in minutes, especially the second half. He usually gets more run and is a bigger part of the team, but it's hard to get Lowry or Van Vliet off the floor in close games. So, again, in this one, I don't think people play completely full minutes, and it's definitely not my favorite game on the board. I'm not comfortable with the Bledsoe-Hill split. I really don't want any part of that. Middleton is expensive. I'm not going back to Giannis, even though he played a lot of minutes in the last game. That's particularly why I don't think he'll play that type of load in this game. In fact, I'm surprised he's not sitting. I think he's probably just playing him to just try to shake those air balls and the bad juju that he's feeling from those shots. So I just don't want to go there. And then Brook Lopez, good Lord, what a game he had last time out. Wow. So we'll see. He's going to draw Marc Gasol away from the basket a little bit defensively. I think you may see a little more Mr. Ibaka off the bench because he can get out there a lot better to guard Brook Lopez. So Ibaka's not a bad, if you want to go with the double secret squirrel Raptors and put up a few cheap guys in Powell and Ibaka, you could sneak 30 points out of both of those guys, fantasy points, and give yourself a decent build. I don't really want to go up on any of the expensive Raptors. I don't know why Nurse would push them over the limit minutes wise with Lowry and Van Vliet. And I can tell you right now, I rostered Anunoby on a few of my GPPs today, and I watched the majority of that game. That guy stinks. I'm sorry to be rude on this show, but oh my gosh, is that guy offensively challenged? I don't know why he's even on the floor. I know he's a defensive stopper and he's an athlete, but I don't think he can make a 6-foot shot for $100. I'm not going to, so that's my rant. So if it follows suit with the Porters and other guys of the world, Anunoby might be your best play tomorrow.
There you go.
So, yeah, I think you could have a few value plays that you could pluck from this game. And then after that, I think it's actually just move on and don't get sucked into the big, Raptors Bucks game as a strong played game.
That's right. Save it for the playoffs.
All right, two more left. Indiana Pacers and Miami Heat, 8-7 Central. Right now the line is Heat by 2.5. Looks like we've got our main players back with Butler and Dragic. The big news is going to be the TJ Warren news. So remind us that wonderful fact that you and I made a massive note about months ago to follow up when they played again.
Yeah, TJ Warren and Jimmy Butler got into it in a regular season game. Warren got ejected, jawing back and forth. And so Coach and I both had the rematch circled on our calendars. We wanted to play them the next time they faced off, it was the Lillard situation where he's just, he's all salty and fired up and he takes it out on the opponent. Well, these guys want to take it out on each other. And so we finally get the rematch now. And
Yep.
as everybody knows, Warren has been dominating the bubble. And, now he gets to hopefully play, questionable with the foot, but if he's out there, he's going to have that in the, not even the back of his mind. It's going to be in the front of his mind. And same thing with Butler, who, oh, by the way, is ready to come back all of a sudden. He probably wants that matchup. So I want to get these guys in there. I want to get some exposure to this game. Indiana's really pushing hard. And the interesting dynamic here is that Indiana and Miami play here on Monday. They play again on Friday, and they are the 4 and 5 seeds right now, so they very well might play in the first round of the playoffs. And I think they both want to avoid dropping down to the 6th seed. They've got Philly at their back. If they fall to the 6th seed, they have to play the Celtics. I don't think they want to do that. So I think for sure Indiana is going to keep pushing to win. If you look at their last game, Warren played 39 minutes, Brogdon played 39, and Oladipo played 35. So, that's a nice trio there. They feed off each other. All three
And
of them.
that was the day before yesterday, right?
Right, and that was against the Lakers. Strong defensive team, but they played well. So they're all in play for me. Warren is a little bit cheaper on FanDuel. Brogdon and Oladipo very similar pricing on both. So those are the three guys I'm looking at for Indiana. Butler, because of this dynamic, I'd like to play him, but he hasn't played since August 3rd. He did play 33 minutes that night, and he's only 7.2 on DraftKings, so he is cheap enough, coming off of a layoff where I could play him. So we'll just see how the roster construction plays out. But with Dragic back in, like you said, Hero takes a massive hit, even with Nunn still out. So it's probably Butler or nobody for me from the Miami backcourt. And I will look at Bam. He's done well in this matchup. He's just 7.9 on both sites. So I wish he were cheaper, but he's in play for me as well as to complete the game stack.
That's a good analysis. For me, my gut, and again, we're not going to know this, but my gut feeling is I don't think Warren's going to play. That's just my gut feeling. So we're going to need to know that news. He's literally 50-50 right now. If he doesn't, it changes the dynamic of the lineup a little bit. I think you got to, you can go to a few value plays in Aaron Holiday, who's played big minutes. He's been a sneaky 35-minute game guy. And I would assume they're going to put Butler on Brogdon because he's there, or Oladipo, one or the other. He'll guard one of those guys. So I think Aaron Holiday's in play. If Warren doesn't play, then I think his brother Justin Holiday is also an option. So I think you could go there. As far as the Miami side, there are two guys I love in this matchup. I love Bam, and I love Kelly O. Kelly O came off the bench last game, still did fine, and the only reason he came off the bench is because they used Jones Jr. strictly to match up against Devin Booker. That was all. The only reason he started him. He just was to shadow Booker, and we all know how that turned out. So I think Jones goes back to the bench. I think Kelly O starts. And I like the two inside guys against the Pacers. I think Miles Turner is extremely volatile defensively. I know he's got, for some reason, a reputation of people saying he's a good defender. I don't see it. I mean, the blocks he gets are help side blocks, not on the ball blocks. And, I really like Bam and Kelly O here a lot. And, depending on the Warren news, I want to go one or two guys on the other side. So for me, it's going to be, a Sun stack, a lot of one-offs, and then a decent amount of guys from this game. Because I think that, both these teams are decent. The Heat's decent defensively. The Pacers are so-so, but They both get up and down the floor. And I don't know if you noticed, but literally for, I'd say, a quarter of the game, did you know that Bam Adebayo was bringing the ball up the last game?
Yeah.
It's
You know that
just they're running off of him.
Jeff Green was bringing the ball up some for Houston tonight against Sacramento. Yeah, it's funny how a lot of these coaches will use their bigs who are, a lot more athletic and versatile, and it gives teams a different dimension.
Well, Bam, I mean, he's a 7-foot center, for crying out loud, but he's such a dynamic passer, and they're running the offense through him. So, I mean, I just love that, and it really opens the inside up for Kelly O. I think I'm on to something with these Heat inside players, and I wouldn't count Tyler Hero out. I think I'm definitely going to use him in a GPP. But, he may even sneak into one cash lineup. And I'll tell you why. I know Dragic is back. It is a massive hit. But this is the first stretch Nunn's been out all year. And all of those minutes are mainly going to go to Hero. I don't think they're going to push Dragic. He's not going to play 30 minutes. He's got an ankle that he twisted pretty badly. So I think that, 20, 25 minutes max for him. And that does open a lot of minutes up. So, Hero or Duncan Robinson, both, I think, are going to get shots up and are going to be in play here. So I don't want to go with, a 3-4 man stack from the Heat. I don't think that's that doable. In baseball, you can do it all day long. But as far as the deep stacks, it comes a little bit tough unless you get a double overtime game or a fluke thing like that. But if you're mixing cash and GPPs, I think the four that I mentioned in Robinson, Hero, Adebayo, and Olynyk are all playable for sure. And you can follow it back up on the other side with a couple of Pacers.
Okay.
All right, last game. Sweat game, all by itself. 9 p.m., 8 Central, Nuggets, Lakers. And we right now have the Lakers a 5.5-point favorite and sort of a calm 222 over-under. What do you think about this Nuggets-Lakers game?
Well, I don't think Denver is, pushing hard either way.
Okay.
Right now they're pretty.
That straightens it up for me.
Yeah. Well, I think some of these teams are, having internal discussions tonight and trying to figure it out for themselves. Yeah. What do we want to do here? They're looking at the standings. They're strategizing. Who do we want to play in the first round? How's everybody else going to try? What effort are they going to put forth? Who's going to win games this week? Who's not? How is it all going to shake out? And they're strategizing. And so, the Denver is just in that spot where there's not a lot of clarity in terms of what they can do or what they can avoid. So, on the other hand, with the Lakers, if they can beat Denver, who's in the 3 seed right now, potentially push Denver down to the 4 seed and allow Houston to get up to the 3 seed, then the Lakers could play Denver in the first round. And I think they would prefer that over playing Houston. So I think that's part of the reason why.
That would be the second round. They're going to probably open in the first round with Portland or whoever makes it in that last spot.
Yeah, I apologize if I said first round. So exactly in the second round, they would want to avoid the Rockets. In my opinion, they'd rather play Denver. They do lead this season series against Denver 2-1. So I think the Lakers push.
Hello? All right. Andrew is completely frozen up here. Not sure. Andrew, are you there? All right. I don't see it. All right. I'm going to just take the ball and run with it here. This Lakers Nuggets game does look very interesting. I think that it's going to be the type of game that, as Andrew was trying to state, I think before we lost him, is going to be one of those games that, the question is, how hard are they going to push? What are the minutes they're going to play?